Greetings, this is Mr. Pop Culture Phenomenon here, and this is one of my first episodes on my podcast, aka Pop Culture Podcast. And today's episode, we are gonna be talking about the almighty and powerful Shazam, aka Mr. Captain Marvel. The original Captain Marvel, by the way. Not sure why DC didn't choose to trademark that name and you let Marvel steal it right under your noses, but what's done is done. Well, anyways, this is one of my first podcasts and I hope you guys enjoy. Like, listen, and subscribe below, but right now, let's get the show started. Shazam, Shazam. 6 Greek gods rolled into one. Now people are wondering why I hold them at such a high status. It is because the 6 Greek gods that Shazam represents is Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. Now, the cool thing about this is out of these 6 Greek gods, Shazam picks up a very, very skilled trade from each one. From Solomon, he is blessed with infinite wisdom and knowledge. From Hercules, obviously, he is blessed with muscle and strength. Atlas gives him stamina, which is basically something that's a very undervalued trait to have, especially as a fighter and as a hero. Zeus, which gives him the power of lightning and to summon energy. Achilles, which gives him the power of courage and bravery. That's just to stand tall in any situation given. And from Mercury, he is blessed with speed, with the ancient Greek god of speed. So I'm not going to say he's as fast as Flash or Superman, but one thing that's true is he's definitely in the same ballpark as them. The only thing I noticed about Flash is Superman is that they have been known to be able to go so fast where they're able to time travel. Shazam's not quite there yet, but I'm not saying it's not possible with them. Kind of getting into this one, the reason why I hold Shazam at such a high status is I believe that he is the one DCEU superhero who can rival Superman. But ultimately, I believe that he probably is stronger than Superman. When you go into his strengths, he is blessed with immortality. He is omnilingual, which basically means he has the ability to speak to every language on Earth, even dead languages that we haven't used in thousands of years. Also, people don't know this about Shazam, but he does have the capacity to communicate with animals and different aliens and their different dialects. So he can speak Kryptonian and speak to the Kryptonians. He can speak Tamarian and speak to the Tamarians. And that's just something that most of these superheroes aren't even touching or nowhere near. One thing that I do like is that basically he can summon lightning bolt from his hands. He's actually a superhero that doesn't need to depend on sleep, food, or water like pretty much everybody else. I mean, if you look at Flash, you can clearly see that his stomach is basically a black hole where he has to nonstop take in calories because of the speed force and how many calories he burns. So he has to go at a high intake. Another underrated trait that I do like that he has, and his is probably actually stronger than Spider-Man's, but it is clairvoyance, which is the ability to sense danger before it happens. It's like a Spidey sense, but with Shazam, it's probably like Spidey sense times like 5 or 10. He is basically, there's an unknown force out there in the universe that just draws him in to a dangerous situation before it actually even happens. As you can see on the comic books and in the TV shows that he's in, he's basically magically drawn to these dangerous situations. And this is minutes before something even happens. It's just, he was put on this earth to protect human beings, and he has a destiny to do that. And no matter what the situation calls for, he is just going to be drawn to those situations to help people out. Cool thing that I do like too that most people don't know about this unless you're really specific about Shazam is that when he did some training with the Martians on their planet for a period of time, and you got to remember with Shazam, most of his power is drawn from magic, the ability to do magic. And when he did his training with the Martians, they are a high intelligence species. And basically, when he honed in on his magic through them, he was actually able to learn how to summon fireballs from his hands, and he picked up the trait of fire breath, which is kind of like the opposite of what Superman has when he has the like chill breath when he can freeze shit. The only thing that I can really think of as weaknesses for Shazam is basically that in his human form, if an enemy makes him voiceless, he basically will be vulnerable. That's the one thing about him. Like when he's in his human form, and if he doesn't chase Shazam in time before an enemy attacks, or they put their hands around his mouth and shut him up before he can say something, he's basically at his opponent's mercy. Another thing that I would say too, which could potentially be a weakness, but also be a strength, is that he has shared power. Basically, if any of you guys that saw the movie, he has the ability that when he touches the staff with him and his family members, and they all say Shazam at the same time, he is able to disperse his power to his family and his loved ones. And they all each pick up one of the 6 traits of the Greek gods, which is actually a pretty cool thing that he can do. And it's kind of like, it's either he might be a little less weaker himself individually, but it's kind of the whole thing of, hey, now I got basically 5 or 6 other allies that can fight with me. And it's kind of like a strength in numbers thing. Other than that, there's really not too much I can think of as a weakness for Shazam. I have heard, though, that if an enemy or an opponent can somehow summon enough electricity or enough voltage and they're able to hit him with electricity or voltage or anything along those lines, powerful enough, he can get knocked out of his Shazam form and get turned back into Billy, which is the 14-year-old kid. The other weakness other than that is that basically, hey, he's a 14-year-old kid put into a man body trying to be an adult. I mean, a lot of these opponents and villains can really, if they wanted to, outsmart him. They're just going to see him as a kid on the inside. And so, with that being said, it's probably really hard to take someone like that real seriously. But if he gets a little bit more developed, more mature, and he hasn't even really been trained on how much magic he can learn and adapt to and push his powers to the next level. Now imagine if you got a well-aged adult that can learn how to harness his abilities and be able to maneuver on those aspects. This is why I say potentially, for sure he's in the same ballpark as Superman, and I would actually even say, in my own opinion, that he's probably the most powerful DCEU superhero that's out there today. He's just, Superman's the leader of the Justice League, you got Batman, who's the most popular character in DC, Wonder Woman's like the lead lady role, so everybody's gonna want that, and she's very popular among the females. Then you got Flash, and Flash is basically the fastest superhero ever created, and he's the one that most people like personality-wise. He's kind of the comic relief that everybody needs in this type of world. So then, like, the next tier as far as like main characters in the DC EU universe would be Shazam, Cyborg, Hawkgirl, and etc. And then you can kind of go on from there. So no, he's not the most well-known or the most popular one, but based off these traits and abilities that he can do, I definitely would say that Shazam, in my eyes, is probably the most powerful superhero in the DC EU universe. If any of you guys agree or disagree, please feel free to leave your comments below. Please keep it positive is all that I say. Well, anyways, this is one of my first Popcast videos, and this is Mr. Pop Culture Phenomenon. And please, once again, like, listen, and subscribe below. Take care and have a nice day.